and welcome to Buzz TV. I'm your host, Adrienne Houghton, and we have got an exciting show for you today. There's everything from restaurants and charities and galleries and something for everyone, really family favorites. So watch this space and find out more on Buzz TV.
Welcome back to Making a Difference. I'm Steve Strum. This morning we have Monica Hernandez from the First Coast Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Good morning.
Good morning.
So we have some cool stuff to talk about today.
Yes.
You and I have known each other for a long time and both have served in the First Coast Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
That is correct.
Today you are here to talk about a really neat event that you're doing in the end of September, a gala for something called Achieving the Dream.
Yes, that is correct.
Tell us about what this is.
So the Achieving the Dream was initiated in 1995 as a way to help Hispanic students in Northeast Florida. And this year we're celebrating our 26th year anniversary. Since it initiated, we've awarded over $500,000, actually $500,000 in scholarships. And this year we get to celebrate them, their accomplishments, their achievements, how they got it. So it's really, really neat initiative.
So I know a little bit about the scholarship thing. Back, 15 years ago, we kind of rebooted that, right? It was a thing, and then it was kind of not a thing, and then it was a thing again. But what was rebooted and what you guys have created is a totally different thing.
Yes.
We're just excited to put enough money together to send 10 kids to school.
Yes.
And now you have a gala.
Yes.
So tell me about this. I got to be there.
Yes, you will.
It's Thursday, September 30th.
Yes.
At the River Club downtown, 6 o'clock.
Yes, that is correct.
And you're going to have a few hundred people there.
It's very fun. This year the theme is we're going to celebrate heritage, culture, cuisine, so everything that has to do with the Hispanic community. So, if you definitely want to know and learn about who we are as a community, this event will teach you that. Not only will you meet our sponsors, but you'll also be able to meet, some of the Hispanic community leaders within Northeast Florida that always attend this gala.
And so, and we'll send 10 kids to school.
Yes.
We'll have some fun in person, which is great.
I know.
If people want to find out about your great sponsors, which of course they can come by the show, and we'd love to highlight what they're doing for the community.
Yes.
Or if they want to find out what they can do to participate, how do they connect with the First Coast Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and then specifically, how do they buy tickets or sponsor?
Yes, so if they visit at fchec.com, they'll be able to, you can get the sponsorships or tickets. I would say if you're interested, please do it fast. This is our biggest event of the year, and it gets sold out very quick. So this year, the presenting sponsor is the Jacksonville Jaguars. So we're very honored and grateful for their support. Throughout the whole month, we're going to have a various, variety of events. So definitely continue to follow us on social media. On our website is fchec.com. You can also follow us on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook.
All right, you say that so fast. So FCHCC, First Coast Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Got it. So, guys, if you want to go to this gala, please go to www.fchcc.com. Buy tickets. Do it quick because this does sell out, and I'm just so happy that you were able to join.
Yes.
It's so neat to see something that we worked on so long ago to do something right for kids to go to school that may not have that opportunity. And now this thing has grown to such a neat, it's amazing. I can't wait to go.
Yeah,
I was going to go last year, but, small thing called COVID.
No, but, this scholarship will make a difference in that student's life, right? It may make a difference whether they go to school or not. So super excited to be able to continue this legacy that started such a long time ago and be able to continue to create an impact to the students' lives.
That's absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing this story. Guys, thanks for joining us on Making a Difference. If you like us, share us, and remember, live with gratitude.
Welcome back to another episode of On a Mission. I'm your host, Dr. Wendy Norfleet with Norfleet Integrated Solutions, and it is my pleasure to have with me Eileen Darty with We Search research. Welcome, Eileen. That's a mouthful.
It is.
It's very catchy, but it's a mouthful.
Yes, I wanted to make it so that catchy, but remembering also at the same time.
Yeah, I did remember it. Just tongue twister.
Yeah.
So Eileen, tell us a little bit about yourself first.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So my name is Eileen Doherty, and I am a by nature clinician, but then recently turned over to healthcare operations and clinical research. So I have a passion for both the front of the house and the back of the house, as I like to call it, for healthcare.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this kind of really feeds into your business, and your business is We Search Research.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about what that is.
So We Search Research is really the foundation of opportunities, is what I like to think of it. It helps connect people in our community to clinical research opportunities, whether you're looking for a new healthcare diagnosis or getting better healthcare, because as you know, we're in a consumer healthcare market. So we have the ability to shop around for our healthcare needs. And when we're participating in a clinical trial, we are getting better access to better healthcare because we're monitored more closely by physicians, nurses, research staff. So we have the ability to get the best care out there when we're in a clinical trial.
So would this be for someone who maybe has something that's a little bit off the beaten path, or is this for everyone?
Really, it's for everybody. So like I was saying, either if it's a new healthcare question that you have, you've noticed some red spots on your arm, or really if you're looking to get some extra compensation, because when you do join a clinical research trial, you are compensated for that time. So just to give you an example, I had a girlfriend who just had her baby girl earlier this year, experiencing some of that postpartum depression. So I told her, hey, there's a research opportunity out there. It does involve some surveying for moms with postpartum depression, and they offer some compensation for it. And she, with the pandemic going on, she was looking for a little bit extra income there. So it was a win-win-win situation for her.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she probably got a little bit of assistance as far as to help her with the postpartum depression,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So what made you want to go into this and, really do this and connect people to studies?
Yeah, thank you. So actually, there's quite a few reasons, but as I was previously working as a clinical research coordinator for one of our local healthcare organizations here in Jacksonville, but I noticed that when people were, when I would go up to people and tell them about a research study, they were like, wow, I never even knew this existed. Are there other opportunities that I can join to be a part of this? Because I want to get the best healthcare out there possible. So that was one. And then I also had a situation near and dear to me. My mother had gone through a cardiac event earlier this year. So she was in need of some extra clinical care and monitoring. So a little bit of life experiences, I guess I could say, that really helped me start this.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's just great. So give us a ballpark. You're a fairly new business.
Yes.
When did you start?
Really started hitting the ground running January of this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So from January to now, half a year, and I know the first couple of months you probably were getting things organized.
Yes.
So how many people have you connected?
Oh gosh, I would say about 6 people right now have been connected, because I do work full time, and this is more of a part time, but I'm trying to make it the full time.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. So it's just been a couple of friends and really people that I've met. My hairdresser, for example, was one that I helped get connected to a study. So really just talking to different people and people that I've met so far.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
great. You're off to a great start.
Yeah. So I'm really excited to see what the future holds, and just really excited to be on the show and share more about it with people.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if someone is out there and they look at this interview and they say, you know what, I think I may have some questions and looking for a study, how do they connect with you?
Yeah, so definitely follow me on social media. So it's WeSearch_research on Instagram. You can also follow me on Facebook. Or if they want to talk with me directly, they can always send me an email at we.search.researchllc@gmail.
Okay.
It's a tongue twister.
It is. It's a lot. Okay,
Yeah.
repeat that one more time just in case.
Yeah, so the email is we.search.research
llc@gmail.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Eileen,
Thank you
so much.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of On a Mission to learn more about Eileen Doherty and We Search Research. Please go to iwannabuzz.com and we'll see you next time on Buzz TV.
Greetings and welcome to Caring for Seniors. I'm your host, Adrienne Houghton. Now, each week I sit down with Dave Stieglitz, who is the president of Oasis Senior Advisors Jacksonville, and we discuss all things financial planning and housing for the elderly. And we have a very interesting guest in the studio today. It is Candice Jacobs Robinson, and she's from Candice Jacobs Creations, and she's going to tell us all about her very unique business. Welcome.
Thank you, Adrienne and Dave, for having me.
Thanks for
It's
coming
an
on.
absolute pleasure. So Candice, tell us, what is Candice Jacobs Creations?
Well, I am actually a native of Jacksonville. I am a mother, I'm a licensed funeral director, an embalmer, a military spouse, and I'm also a caregiver for my father who's in late stage Alzheimer's disease. And so Candice Jacobs Creations provides end-of-life care and pre-planning advisory services, as well as self-care and empowerment products to treat that emotional discomfort that comes along with making such decisions.
Yes.
And because I am actually a bona fide member of that sandwich generation, those late 30s to early 50-somethings who are raising a family, still working, and also caring for aging parents, that is why I actually started Candice Jacobs Creations. I feel like I have an opportunity to really meet the needs of that very specific and unique target audience, to help them with their particular pain points.
How long have you been doing this?
It's been about 5 years now at this particular point, and it kind of got started because I became my target consumer. Unfortunately, in 2015, around the time that I ended up starting Candice Jacobs Creations, I was kind of texting with my godbrother Titus. It was around the very beginning of the year, and unfortunately, we were excited and making plans for the new year and saying that we were going to get together via text. And I ended up going into the funeral home, and I was preparing and overseeing a service. And as I would later find out, around that same time, he actually passed out on the floor in front of his 1.5-year-old. His heart stopped beating and he died. And unfortunately, he left behind several children and a widow, and he didn't have life insurance, Adrienne. But the blessing that ended up coming out of it was that he actually had his services paid for by his local congregation. And because he was a Navy veteran, he was eligible for burial benefits with the local national cemetery. And so through that experience, he kind of became my why for me to understand and to try to set my mission, which is essentially to help caregivers, those who are ill, and the bereaved live life abundantly and to leave a lasting legacy. He has essentially become my legacy for Candice Jacobs Creations, and I want to help other individuals and families, prepare for the peace that I know that they desire at the end of their lives, to handle that important business and then just get on with living.
So he was your motivation.
Yeah, and this is so important because so many people fail to plan for that. Even people that I know that are planners. It's not a topic. It's like going to the dentist. Nobody wants to say, Yahoo, I'm going to the dentist. I mean, nobody says, Yahoo, I want to go plan for my end of life.
Absolutely.
And there's so many aspects to it, from the planning of the actual services to, taxes and government and all the things to transfer without going into probate and all those horrible things that you go down. So absolutely advocating for that, I think, is wonderful, and trying to make that as easy and connecting people to the resources, which is what you do. And you have an event coming up in October.
I do. That is the Lasting Legacies Life Planning Conference. And so what we do through that particular event is we invite industry professionals around such topics as dementia education, to caregiver support and grief. Last year, we, of course, incorporated the topic of COVID, unfortunately, which we're still dealing with in this country. We have life insurance professionals. We have elder care attorneys talk about estate planning, such as what you just mentioned, Dave.
Yes.
Funeral pre-planning, and just, gosh, so much more. It's a very comprehensive event, and we do that through workshops and a panel discussion. It is coming up October 7th through 9th. We're in the initial planning stages, right now, and preparing for that. Last year, we did take it virtual because of what was happening with COVID. But this year, we're looking forward to doing a hybrid event. So on that Thursday evening and Friday afternoon, it'll still be a virtual format with our workshops and vendor spotlights. And then on that Saturday, we will have a limited number of in-person tickets from the venue where we'll be broadcasting. And then you can also still watch it virtual as well.
Can anybody attend?
Absolutely. And one of the great things last year about instituting the virtual format was that it then wasn't just open to people here locally in Jacksonville. We actually had some other people who participated throughout the state as well as in other states. Had some people from California, Texas. So I know that, some of the industry professionals that we have here locally are going to be speaking from the standpoint of view of the state of Florida, but a lot of this is still relevant information. And then with our affiliate network at Candice Jacobs Creations, a lot of those people, if they happen to live in a different state, would be able to give them referrals to professionals in their area. So
I'm sure that with the 2020 and the current climate, that it has been even more difficult, and there have been more situations where you've been necessary. Have you seen an increase in people coming to you for your assistance? Unfortunately,
I have, and I am out of Ponte Vedra Valley and Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida, and we're basically a funeral home, cemetery, and cremation center, and we have in that particular area, as well as my colleagues here in Jacksonville who I speak with regularly. Everyone is seeing, unfortunately, an uptick in loss of life, because of COVID. And just when we started to think that maybe things were settling out, now we're dealing with this Delta variant, and it has really impacted the death care industry, the way that we're providing our services. For a while, unfortunately, there were limited number of family members and friends who could attend services in some areas. But one of the positives that has definitely come out of it is the use of technology, live streaming services, so that people in other places, at Ponte Vedra Valley, it's a very diverse group of people that we serve. And so sometimes they had relatives in other countries who were then able to watch the live stream and be a part of the fellowship of grief, which is so important when you lose a loved one. Part of one of the important aspects of celebrating a life, however you choose to do it, is to be able to have a group of individuals who will serve as a support system, not just on that day, but as you go forward and navigate your loss.
That is one thing that, as you touched on, that has come out of COVID, that people have used technology a lot more.
Yes.
I know I had a very dear uncle who was my father's eldest brother, who passed away at the age of 100. And he's in England. And so, we were able to watch the streaming of the funeral because unfortunately not very many people could attend. There was, I think, my aunt's, her daughter and her son were the only 4 people, and it's terribly sad when it's the end of it's the end of someone's life, and you're wanting to celebrate it or acknowledge them, and there's so few people. But there was a lot of us online, which was great, So that this is a huge plus. Now I know that you do, moving swiftly forward, you do a podcast.
I do.
Tell us about that.
I do. The podcast is called Long Live the Brains, and so it's focused on neurodegenerative disease. And of course, another way in which I can relate is because, like I mentioned, my family is dealing with dementia. There's over 120 forms. And so what we discuss a lot of people are not aware of it. Alzheimer's disease is usually the main one that people are familiar with. Yeah. But on Long Live the Brains, we focus on Huntington's, Parkinson's, and we also focus on providing a support system, to the care partners as well. So we give you a 360-degree look at neurodegenerative disease. It was founded by Dr. Philip Tipton, a neurologist out of Mayo Clinic. And I actually met Dr. Tipton. He was one of my expert panelists in my 2019 conference, just before the last one that we did that was in person. And he actually reached out to me in the beginning of 2020 last year and said, "Hey, Candice, I would love to interview you on my new podcast, and talk about, some of the things that your family is navigating with your father and Alzheimer's disease." And so I went on and did that. And out of that, he actually offered me the opportunity to serve as his co-host. So we began collaborating. We're now in season 2 of Long Live the Brains. And unfortunately, he had an expansion of responsibility. So he had to step back and take a bit of a break recently. And so on last Tuesday, I introduced our new interim co-host, Dr. Christine Caulfield, and she's the CEO of Lutheran Services Florida, so a mental health and counseling agency. And her background was the perfect fit in geriatric neuropsychology. So she came in, and on last week we had a conversation about how to console and help someone who's in late stage Alzheimer's disease navigate loss. And unfortunately, the inspiration for that was the fact that I had to help my mother deliver the news to my father that his younger sister passed away. So we just had to funeralize her, a couple of months ago. And that was particularly challenging because when you get into late stage Alzheimer's disease, the individual is at the point that their cognitive capacity is so diminished. A lot of times their short-term memory is almost gone. And unfortunately, that's where we are with my father. So you had all these questions that came up when we told him. He forgot, even moments later, days later, we're still making arrangements. And he's cognizant of the fact that there's a lot of activity going on and asking, "What are you doing?" And he doesn't remember.
So he's still at home.
Told him. He's still at home with us. And so part of what we talked about in that podcast was things like, do you keep retelling the person after you've told them? When you deliver such traumatic news to someone that they've lost a loved one, there is usually a very strong emotional response initially. Do you want that person to experience that over and over again, kind of like Groundhog's Day? And that's one of the questions that I had the opportunity to pose to Dr. Caulfield, and we talked about that.
And in situations like that, would it not be perhaps better not to tell them at all?
I posed that question to her, and she said, you really have to consider the individual circumstance and the person that you're dealing with.
Yes.
If they're at a certain point and you feel like it's more compassionate perhaps not to, then that has to be an individual decision that you and your families make. Sure. However, we did make the decision to tell him. I don't personally regret that, because there's an opportunity there, even though we don't continue to tell him, because sometimes he will say, I haven't seen my sister in a while. We should go see her, because she had just gone to a nursing facility 30 days before she ended up passing, unfortunately. And we don't retell him. You know, we don't feel like that's the most compassionate thing to do in that moment. We kind of redirect. We may share something memorable about her. You know, didn't you really enjoy talking to your sister? Remember how funny she was? And those are the kinds of things that Dr. Caulfield was suggesting. And then say, hey, you know what? Lunch is almost ready. Why don't we go eat? You know, so that you don't have an opportunity for that person to digress into some of the emotional aspects and very understandable and normal symptoms of grief, you know, because they're just not as equipped to handle them.
Oh, it's tough.
It is a very difficult subject, because each person would be different.
Absolutely.
So you don't know, and the stage that they're at, and too difficult. If people would like to follow you, find out more about Candice Jacobs Creations, how do they get in contact with you?
So I'm actually, Candice Jacobs Creations is on Facebook, we're on Twitter, and we're on Instagram, and the handle is KJC Inc. As well, if you're interested in the event, probably the best and easiest thing to do is to go to CandiceJacobsCreations.com, and that's Candice with a K. Okay, and you can follow me there, and we'll be uploading updates regarding the Life Planning Conference, again, coming up in October. If you're a sponsor or a vendor surrounding those particular topics and you're interested in participating, you can just click the contacts tab, send me a message, and we can talk that way. And finally, if you're interested in pre-planning, if you want to make sure that you have a solid plan for the latter years of your life, you want to get that planning out of the way, you can always come and see me at Ponte Vedra Valley and Ponte Vedra Beach, and I, Brent or Jackie Hedrick, will be happy to talk with you.
So it's never too soon to come.
It's never too soon.
Such an important
Never
thing.
too soon. So you can just get on with the joys of living. That's what I tell people.
Yes, just forget about it. Everyone's fine. You know what's going to happen.
Absolutely.
All's good. Candice, it was an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much for coming in. Thank you for everything that you're doing.
Absolutely. Yes.
And if you'd like to know any more information, you can go to www.CandiceJacobsCreations.com or iwannabuzz.com. Wow, that was fantastic. What a great show, and what interesting businesses. Don't forget, if you need any more information, you can go to iwannabuzz.com. Bye for now.